What's up, guys, and welcome to the 5.4 Fire Mage PvE guide. As always, we're just going to go right through everything. We're going to go through talents, glyphs, stat priorities, and then some rotation tips and tricks. If you want to see the burst rotation, again, it's one of those things where you really just need a macro, and I'll show you my macro so you guys can copy that as well. But let's go through talents, see what changes we have. So for 5.4, again, Presence of Mind is going to be key for fire, as Scorch is a passive fire ability. Presence of Mind is really the only one that makes sense. Because we do have good mobility as it is anyway, that there's really not another viable option. With the buff to Temporal Shield, this makes Temporal Shield insanely good. 50% damage reduction, as well as all damage taken is shielded back. So we actually gained a damage reduction as well as having our heal back over time. Very, very nice. Level 45 talents, no one gives a damn because we don't PvP here. Level 60, again, depending on the situation, you can use all three, just depending on what you need. If you need 2 ice blocks, if you don't need greater invis, you can use Cauterize. If you need greater invis, it's nice to have. Our level 75 talents are bombs. Again, Living Bomb is our single target or 2 target really is what we're really looking for this. Nether Tempest is going to be our 3 or 4 targets, and then 5 or more targets that are going to be together and clumped up. We're going to want Frost Bomb. So that's really where you're going to see it. So far I have not seen any fights where Frost Bomb is going to be viable. Our level 90 talents still clunky as always. But what we do need to understand is that Invocation is going to be the best for fire mages. Some people have talked about Rune of Power. We don't really want it. It just doesn't make sense, especially with our stat priorities. It doesn't work. Pretty much we're sticking with Invocation. As far as glyphs go, we have Glyph of Combustion, Glyph of Inferno Blast, and Glyph of Rapid Displacement. This is our double blink glyph. This is just to show you how it works. You blink, and you blink black. You can do this, and then it has a 15-second recharge timer that will charge them up right down here. Works very, very nicely. The other glyphs that are usable: Arcane Explosion, Armors, Blink for distance, Evocation again for that heal, and let's see, is there anyone other? Remove Curse, certain situation maybe, but that's pretty much it. Minors don't really matter. I like having momentum. Other than that, it's completely irrelevant whatever ones that you take, so keep that in mind. There are some new ones, but again, don't really matter as most of them are for Frost, which nobody but PvP players really play. So that's talents and glyphs for you. As far as stat priority, the stat priority has not changed, however the breakpoints that we're going for have. Your stat priority is still going to be Int, Hit to Cap, Crit, Haste to breakpoint, then Mastery. Remember that with the Combustion nerf, Mastery and Ignite did not get nerfed. Just the amount of your Ignite that gets turned into a Combustion got nerfed. Therefore, the Mage Theory crafting is still kind of out on this, whether we're going to be doing what haste breakpoint we're going to be going through. A lot of mages have chosen to go a little bit higher haste because of the Combustion nerf, whereas some have chosen to go really, really high Mastery to try to make that Ignite back up to what it used to be, especially with all the int gains and the amp trinket. There's a few different theory crafters going on about that, but for the most part, again, the basic setup is going to be int, hit to cap, crit, haste to breakpoint, mastery. Now, depending on your breakpoints, you can find those on several different websites, so I'm not going to go through those, but the 2 lower ones that you really want to hit are either 50-36 or 70-73. Those are the 2 minor breakpoints that you can pretty much be aiming for. As far as rotation goes, I'll kind of walk you through how we would pull with Time Warp. Okay, so we want to evocate when the countdown, we want to at least get an 8-second countdown. So at 8 we're evocating, at 5 we're doing our potion, our mirror images, and we're hard casting a pyro. Okay, hard cast a pyro, put our dot up, and we're going into rotation. We're fireballing, trying to get a heating up proc. We got one, and then we're using our alter time macro, and then we're alter timing once that's down. And as you can see, even with glyphs by myself, now I am using the PTR gear, okay, so that's why my numbers are a little bit higher. But as you can see, fire didn't really get a huge nerf. That humongous ignite that we saw at the beginning is obviously not going to be there much more. And the other thing that we're really messing around with, especially as we get a little bit higher geared, is this buff, the Potent Flames buff. And this is our two-piece buff. What that's going to be doing is that's going to give us our two-piece buff is going to be giving us our haste, okay? So, and it's only got 5 seconds, so it's really important. The only time we really care about it is when we're going to be doing our combustion. That is when we actually give a damn about it. The rest of the time we really don't care much. It's just going to kind of happen when it happens. You know, if we're getting real lucky with crits, we'll see it a lot. If we're not, we won't see it very often. But again, our goal is we want to try to get that up to 2 by the time that we do our alter time pyroblast, because when we're firing off those pyros, we do want to try to get that to 5 stacks. That is going to be the biggest thing. Now, don't waste trinket procs, obviously, to do it, but, you know, having as much haste as we can get going into that combustion is going to be key. So I'm just going to keep going through this rotation for you real quick until we get to the next combustion, which is coming up in about 8 seconds. And let's just hope we can get any kind of proc going here. Okay, there's our meta gem, so let's try it. See, so we can get it up to 3, no problem, and then we're firing that off. The biggest thing that you're going to notice, guys, is it really comes down to play style. Fire hasn't changed play style wise much. What has changed, however, is our combustion nerf, obviously, with a few minor changes, but the overall game style of how we play has not changed. So keep that in mind going into 5.4, is that you're not changing much if you've been playing Fire. Really the only theory crafting difference is going to be at what haste break point are we stopping. Is it still going to be a lower point? Is it going to be the second point? Is it going to be the 9k point? These are the theory crafting questions that are out right now. But again, without having best in slot gear, and without having you know, the gear in the fights and everything out there for us already, and a little bit more testing being done, there's not really a definitive answer at this point. And again, without the patch being live, we don't want to say anything for sure. But this will be a pretty safe bet if you're trying to set up your Fire Mage for success, especially going into 5.4 with the Timeless Isle and all the gear you can get out there. Being able to go Fire is going to be attainable a lot easier, especially with the crit levels needed. It's just going to be easier once we get that 528, 535, 540 plus gear level that we can get from LFR, Flex, and the Timeless Isle. So going into normals and heroics, you can easily be Fire, and that's very attainable. If you guys have any other questions about the guide, or if anything changes as we go forward, I'll put it in annotations throughout the video, so make sure that you're watching for that. But thanks for watching, and as always, see you in the next one.